He didn't plan for that evening to mean anything. To him, it was just another small favor, a simple meeting, a way to be polite and move on. A friend had called earlier that week and spoken in a careful tone, the kind people use when they want something but don't want to say it clearly. There was a girl. She was nice. She'd been through a lot. She could use some company. Nothing serious. Just dinner. Just one evening. He agreed before thinking too much. Saying yes felt easier than asking questions. At that time in his life, he was good at avoiding things that felt uncomfortable. He told himself it was only one night. He could handle one night. When he arrived, the place was quiet and open, with soft light and white space. He spotted her near the entrance, standing still, her hands folded calmly in front of her. She looked at him and smiled in a gentle way, not rushed, not nervous. The kind of smile that didn't try to impress. He noticed something small as they greeted each other. The way she shifted her weight, the slight delay in one side of her movement. It wasn't obvious at first. It took a moment for his mind to catch up with what his eyes were seeing. They sat down and talked. The conversation was easy in the beginning. Simple questions. Where are you from? What do you like to eat? How do you pass your time? Her voice was soft but clear. She listened carefully, the way people do when they truly want to understand. Not just reply. As time passed, he became more aware of her movements. One hand rested more than the other. One leg stayed still when she stood. She didn't try to hide it. She didn't explain it either. She simply lived inside it like it was part of her, not a problem that needed a speech. He felt his chest tighten, though he didn't know why. A quiet tension settled over him. His friend hadn't said this. Not clearly. Not at all. A question formed in his mind, but it stayed there. He didn't know how to ask without sounding rude. Or worse, kind in the wrong way. They walked slowly through the open space after dinner. She moved carefully, but without fear. She joked once about being slow, then laughed lightly, as if it was nothing worth stopping over. He laughed too, but his thoughts were loud. His steps felt heavy. A voice inside him kept saying, "You weren't told this." Another voice replied, maybe it shouldn't matter. He didn't know which voice to trust. Later, they sat on a bench where the evening air felt cool and still. There was a long pause between them. Not an awkward one, just quiet. The kind that gives space for thoughts to rise. He rubbed the back of his neck and looked away. His body gave him away before his words could. She noticed. She always noticed small things. "You're thinking hard," she said gently. He smiled, unsure. "I guess I am." She didn't push. She never did. Instead, she looked ahead, her face calm, almost peaceful. "There's something you weren't told," she said after a moment. His heart sank. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. "I don't blame people for that," she continued. "Most don't know how to explain it anyway." He finally looked at her. Really looked. Not at what she lacked, but at how steady she seemed. "How sure? I had an accident years ago," she said. One side never fully recovered. He nodded slowly, feeling foolish for pretending he hadn't noticed. "I should have known," he said. "I mean, I noticed. I just didn't want to assume." She smiled at that. A small, knowing smile. That's fair. Another pause followed. This one heavier. He wanted to say the right thing. Something supportive. Something kind. But his mind kept searching for words that didn't sound fake. He hated how careful he suddenly felt, like every sentence might break something. Inside him, fear started to grow. Not fear of her, but fear of himself. Fear that he wouldn't be enough. Fear that he would stay out of obligation. Fear that he would hurt her without meaning to. She turned toward him slowly. "I can see it on your face," she said quietly. "The question you're not asking," he swallowed. What question? He asked, even though he knew. Whether you're here because you want to be, she replied, or because you feel like you should. His chest tightened again, before he could answer. She leaned slightly closer, her voice lowering, not weak. Just honest. You don't have to stay if it's pity. The words were soft, almost a whisper, but they landed hard. He felt like the air had been pulled from his lungs. No one had ever spoken to him like that. No anger, no sadness. Just truth. He stared at his hands. They felt heavy. He realized then that he had been holding something he didn't understand. Not responsibility. Not kindness. Guilt. And she had just set it down in front of him. I don't want anyone staying because they feel sorry for me. She continued. I've lived too long to accept that kind of love. Love. The word echoed in his head, though neither of them had said it aloud until now. I didn't come here looking for saving, she said. I came here to meet someone. That's all. He wanted to respond, but his voice felt stuck. Everything inside him felt exposed. She wasn't asking for comfort. She wasn't asking for promises. She was offering him a way out that scared him more than anything. He realized then how little he had thought about what staying truly meant. How easy it would be to leave and tell himself it was the kind thing to do. How easy it would be to walk away and never face his own limits. She stood slowly, steadying herself without help. Take your time, she said softly. You don't have to decide tonight. She smiled once more, warm and calm, as if nothing heavy had just been placed between them. As she walked away, his heart pounded. He sat there alone, watching her move forward step by careful step. For the first time that evening, he wasn't thinking about what she couldn't do. He was thinking about what he was, afraid to feel, and that was where part one ended, with him sitting in silence, unsure whether walking away would be easier than becoming someone better. He didn't sleep much that night. Every time he closed his eyes, her words came back to him. You don't have to stay if it's pity. They didn't sound sad. They didn't sound angry. That was what made them so heavy. She had said them like a fact, like someone who had learned, slowly and painfully, how to protect her own heart. He turned in bed, staring at the ceiling. He asked himself the same question again and again. Why did it bother me so much? If he truly wanted to leave, he could have. She had given him permission. She had made it easy, yet here he was, unable to rest. Over the next few days, he noticed how often he thought about her. Not in a dramatic way, just small moments. When he waited in line somewhere, when he saw someone walking slowly and patiently, when he caught himself rushing through life without meaning to, he realized something uncomfortable. He hadn't been scared of her condition. He had been scared of what it asked of him. Being with her meant he couldn't hide behind excuses. He couldn't pretend kindness was enough. He would have to be honest. With her, with himself. That scared him more than he wanted to admit. A few days later, he sent a simple message. Nothing big, just asking how she was doing. He expected a polite reply, maybe even distance. Instead, she answered warmly. Like no weight existed between them, they met again. This time, there was no pretending, no quiet guessing. They talked openly about her daily life, about the things that were harder, about the things that were still good. She told him how people often decided for her what she could or couldn't handle, how some stayed out of guilt and slowly grew cold, how others left quickly, thinking distance was kinder than truth. I don't blame them, she said. Everyone is learning. That sentence stayed with him. Everyone is learning. He began to see her not as someone fragile, but as someone steady. Someone who had already faced loss and chosen not to let it shrink her. As weeks passed, their meetings became part of his routine. Coffee turned into walks. Walks turned into long talks where time slipped away without effort. There were hard moments, times when plans had to change, days when she moved slower, when pain showed quietly on her face, even as she smiled. He learned not to rush her, not to fix things that didn't need fixing. Sometimes he failed. He offered help when she didn't ask. He worried too much. He apologized when he didn't need to. She corrected him gently, always gently. "I don't need you to be careful," she once said. "I need you to be real." That changed something in him. He started paying attention to himself, to how often he lived on the surface, how often he chose comfort over honesty. Being with her didn't demand perfection. It demanded presence. There was one evening he remembered clearly. They were sitting together, watching the city lights come on one by one. The air was cool. She leaned back, tired but peaceful. Without looking at him, she said, "You know, I still think about what I said that night." His heart skipped. "I meant it," she continued. "I always will. I never want you to stay for the wrong reason." He took a breath. This time he didn't look away. "I know," he said. "That's why I stayed." She turned toward him slowly, searching his face. "Not because you felt bad," he added, "but because leaving felt like lying to myself." Her eyes softened, not with relief, with understanding. That was the moment he knew. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly and clearly. Staying wasn't an act of kindness. It was an act of truth. Their relationship didn't suddenly become easy. Life didn't smooth itself out. There were still challenges, still questions from strangers, still moments where the world wasn't built with her in mind, but they faced them together, not as someone helping and someone being helped. As two people learning how to stand side by side. He noticed how she laughed at small things, how she noticed details others missed, how strong she was in ways that had nothing to do with her body. And she noticed him too, when he doubted himself, when he pulled back, when old habits tried to return. They grew, slowly, honestly. One afternoon, months later, they sat in the same kind of quiet space where everything had begun. The memory hovered between them, but it didn't hurt anymore. She looked at him and smiled. "You know," she said, "you never answered my whisper." He smiled back. "I think I am now," he said. She reached for his hand. Steady and sure, the lesson stayed with him long after that moment. Love wasn't about saving someone. It wasn't about sacrifice that turns into regret. It was about choosing to stay with open eyes and a steady heart, and walking away, he realized, would have been the easy part. Staying was what changed everything.